Okay, let's continue with the next bracha that we're holding. Hamechin mitzadei gover. Hamechin mitzadei gover literally establishes the footsteps of the man. So the Prisha explains that this bracha over here is to appreciate the legs that the Ribbono Shel Olam has given us to be able and enable us to walk at any time we need. And therefore we specifically thank the Ribbono Shel Olam for the earth that our feet walk on. Continues the Prisha, because without these legs we would not be able to live in this world, right? Now, the simple meaning of the bracha is for the feet, because obviously if we can't walk, even if a person can't walk, he still should make this bracha, because other people can help this walk, that can help him walk in this case. Now, it's very, very interesting, by the way, just to note, we'll get back into the appreciation of walking in a moment, but until this time, and until this bracha, we're thanking the Ribbono Shel Olam for what he has done for us, concluding with Sha'as Likotzoki, which we'll get to. Beginning with this bracha, we talk about walking, right? Direction of life, the direction that we decide to take. Meaning we could decide to go left, we could decide to go right, but the either way is V'alachta b'dracha, we try to go in the way of the Ribbono Shel Olam. And we also saying in a sort of like a moshel, we're saying that the Ribbono Shel Olam has given us our path that we can choose, the footsteps to take in the direction that we want to take. And of course, we are held responsible for the direction that we're going. But again, back to the simple idea, the ability to walk with our two legs is something that we cannot take for granted, right? If any of you have ever, either chas v'sholom or you should never experience it, but if you ever did break a leg or sprain an ankle or something similar to that, or you know people that have done that, it's very painful to watch them, or painful even to do it yourself, when you know it's so difficult to walk. And then all of a sudden you can learn to walk, and then everything changes, because now I can just walk whenever I want to walk. Instead of having to take crutches or slithering along and all these things, we have learned to appreciate what we have. We can run, we can jog, we can sprint, we can walk slowly, we can walk fast, whatever it is, without anything. The Ribbono Shel Olam gave us feet that don't have to fill up with gas, that work better than a car, that don't need to be fueled and checked by a mechanic and oiled and change the water and all these sorts of things that are at our disposal the whole time. We don't even have to look for a parking space. So imagine living in Brooklyn and not having to look for a parking space. When you've got feet, you can just go anywhere, stop when you want, go when you want, continue when you want. It's an amazing ability that we have to realize. And at any moment, when we stop, we just take a chair, bend our legs in, and off we go. We've sat down, we can have a rest. You have to think about these things. This is part of what we're doing over here. The Eibusher takes care of all of our needs, and he thinks about the intricate details of how it would make our life as better. Now we also, by the way, thank the Ribbono Shel Olam in this bracha for our thighs, our joints, our knees, our ankles, which Baruch Hashem harmlessly just work together in harmony, and it's an amazing, amazing thing to have that. By the way, people think they don't walk that much. The average person takes approximately 18,000 steps every single day, which is approximately 8 miles. We also, by the way, should consider at this moment the additional forms of transportation that the Ribbono Shel Olam has made available to us. Simply bikes, cars, trains, boats, airplanes. Every mode of transportation is yet another idea of Hamechin mitzadei gover. Let's move on to the next bracha. Try to get to a couple of brachas today before we do the grand finale bracha, and that is Sha'asa li kol tzorki, right? Sha'asa li kol tzorki. So the Gemara in Brachas famously tells us, the Gemara Brachas Daf Samach Amud Beis 60b, where the Gemara tells us that Sha'asa li kol tzorki was originally instituted for when we put on our shoes. That means when Chazal, when they put on their shoes, they made the bracha Sha'asa li kol tzorki. The Abu Dram explains that as long as a person is barefoot, you can't go many places, and all places for sure not. So therefore the Ribbono Shel Olam has given us the incredible luxury of having shoes that we can simply put on, and with that we can now travel wherever we want to travel and go wherever we want to go, which is an amazing, amazing thing to realize that, okay? Now, to have shoes, where Victor Miller talks about this at length, Rav Avigdor talked about the idea of having shoes, and just what it means to have a shoes, and how the shoes are constructed with the sole of the shoe, and the tips of the shoelaces that are encased in a plastic, which makes it much easier to go through the holes. You know what happens when the plastic goes away? Try to put it through. It's much harder. So just even that small chokhmah that was given by the Rabbeinu Shalom is amazing. We can buy polish to be able to polish our shoes. It's also amazing. Many of the shoes are lined in the inside for extra comfort, which is also amazing. The bottom of it has a nice sturdy place, right? Again, these are all the kindnesses that the Rabbeinu Shalom has given to us. And when we make the bracha of Sha'asa Likod Tzorki, we have in mind every bit of comfort and luxury we have in our shoes, and we should appreciate not only the shoes, but everything that comes together with it. The clothing, the housing, and everything that the Rabbeinu Shalom has given to us. By the way, if you look through Birchas Hashachar, it's also an interesting idea. This is the only bracha that we say, li. Sha'asa li kol tzorki. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has provided me specifically. We don't say that by any of the other Birchas Hashachar. Why not? Simply because over here a shoe is a unique size for us. It's tailor-made for us. You have the ability to buy many sizes of shoes instead of one size fits all, and therefore because of that we have that amazing opportunity to be able to have more of a custom-made idea, which is very, very important. Which is also a very important idea. Should we do one more? I think we possibly should, to try to get to a little bit further. And that is, let's do two more. Oize Yisor b'gvura, oite Yisor b'sifara. Okay, Oize Yisor b'gvura, who girds Klal Yisrael with strength, and Oite Yisor b'sifara, who crowns Klal Yisrael with splendor. There's a few interesting things about these two brachas, and that's why we paired them together, because it's the only bracha that says Yisrael in it. Why does it say Yisrael in this bracha over here? So Chazal tell us that originally the bracha of Oiz Yisrael b'gevura was made when you put on your belt, when you tie your belt, and Oite Yisrael b'sifara was when a person covered their head. Right? The Beis Yosef actually in Orach Chaim and Simon Memvov brings down, and he brings a ra'ah that says that a belt actually refers to the gartel that separates a person's heart from his private parts, which we know from the Gemara also is an obligation of davening, that libo einu royes erva, you not have your heart is not allowed to see your erva. And also the Beis Yosef brings from here the idea from here that you see that's also to walk around barefoot over here. There is a very interesting idea that I want to share with you about these two specific brachas, which I think are very, very interesting. And that is, up until now, we are mentioning the Chazdei Hashem that applies to all mankind. In other words, all the brachas that we've been making so far in Birchas Hashachar apply basically to a goy as they apply to us. Pekeich Ivrim, Zokev Kufufim, applies to everyone. We now changed, we shifted these two brachas, right, that we just said, that is, Oize Yisrael b'Gevura and Oite Yisrael b'Sifara, specifically say Yisrael in them. And we ask, why do these two brachas say Yisrael? Because up until now we mentioned the Chazdei Hashem that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave to everyone. Now we're saying that Klal Yisrael have a special opportunity with strength through Torah and mitzvahs to make our human aspect dominate the animal aspect of our body. And that is the halacha that we said before, that our libo is not allowed to see our erva. And therefore these two brachos specifically that are said on both the belt and both the idea of the head covering separate us from a goy and make us different than an animal as well, that raise us up to a higher madrega, simply because when a person covers his erva, when he makes a separation one to the other, it changes everything. In fact, Rav Avigdor, when he talked about, and he writes this in the Sefer Awake My Glory, he talks about the idea of a belt, and he says that, I guess obviously different belts are different things, but he says that most belts have about 5 holes. Right, which means you could change the belt from thin to thick. That means there's one belt is before you start eating, and the other belt is for after you finish eating. Right? That's what it is. You appreciate the hole in the belt. That's what it is. Because every single thing, we have to realize that it's the simcha that the Rabbeinu Shalom gave us, and it's an amazing thing. A hat is a sign of dignity. Women also have to cover their hair when they get married. So it's again a sign of dignity, tznius, nafkamina between animals and human beings and Yidden in general. These are the two brachas that refer specifically to Klal Yisrael. Mitzvah Shem tomorrow, Rabbi Sai, the last two brachas and Birchas Hashachar Be'ez Hashem.